What is up, YouTube? What is up? Welcome to another call on Tyrone. I'm here with a special guest. I guess he's a usual. Guess you can call him a usual at this
It's been
point.
a while.
It's been a while. It has been a while. Mr. Miles Garrett, how you doing?
Doing well, man. How about yourself? Good to be back on here.
Doing okay. Doing okay. Just making it. That's about it.
Aren't we all?
So you have been doing a lot. In the news, of course, you've been working with Governor Kemp, but of course, our love is with the Falcons. So, what have you seen this off season, and what are your thoughts on the moves in the draft and stuff like that?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think like many Falcons fans, my thoughts have been sort of all over the place from beginning to where we are now. The the Deshaun Watson situation to the pre-draft stuff. I mean, I think we've gone through a whole roller coaster of emotions with this team, right? A couple months ago, we thought Matt Ryan was still going to be the quarterback of this team going forward, and now it's full-on rebuild mode. I know Arthur Smith doesn't like to say that, but let's be honest, that's what this team is, and it finally has, I think, accepted moving forward. They've got a lot of young talent here, but I am excited with some of the young guys they have now. I mean, it's just this team needed a fresh start. It really did. And I think for both parties, Matt Ryan and the Falcons, I think this was great for both of them because, Matt's going to a contender now, a team that, has built around him finally that he can succeed. And
Yeah.
the Falcons needed a fresh start. I mean, we all saw it. We all knew it, and it needed to happen. And hopefully Desmond Ritter's that guy. We don't know yet, obviously, until we see him in action. I can't wait to see him in the preseason. But I do like what I'm seeing. And admittedly, I will say, wasn't a huge fan of the Drake London pick when it happened, but it's starting to grow on me just a little bit because, I mean, we all know the Falcons did need some help at receiver. Having Olamide Zaccheaus as our wide receiver one going into the season was something I was very concerned about. But I can kind of see what Arthur Smith's doing now with this offense, getting those big body receivers out there with Drake, with Kyle Pitts, with Auden Tate, now Brian Edwards thrown into the mix there. So just a lot of big bodies out there because, I mean, let's be honest, whether it's Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder, I've got a feeling that one of the two are going to be running around quite a bit in that pocket behind there. So having those big targets to jump up and catch the ball might be necessary. So I'm really excited. I can't wait for training camp to start so I can get, maybe a little bit of a better look at these guys out there on the field and see what happens.
To answer your question, Nakia, this is a exclusive shirt. You had to be on campus. It's the 2018, I think it was 2018, 2017, 2018 school shirt. So it's hard. You can't really find it online. They didn't really sell it online. I had to go actually on campus to get it.
Only an exclusive bunch.
Yeah. It is hard to find. I thank God I found this shirt because I lost it and it was at my dad's house. So thank God I found it. So for you, where we talk about the picks, we go into the news. We had Jeff Schultz write a report about Deion Jones and that it was imminent that he would, it's time for him to go. What are your opinions on that? Do you still think Deion is a major factor on this team, or do you think it's about time to move on?
Yeah, I read that article as well. I think there is a lot to that, and the fact that Arthur Smith and all these guys have not mentioned Deion Jones whatsoever, which gives me all the indication that he is not really a part of this team's future going forward. And I mean, I think it was pretty obvious as well that this past season, Deion was one of the biggest disappointments. I mean, there was just so many plays you were seeing where, he was, it looked like it. I don't want to use the term we're taking plays off, but it looks like the hustle wasn't exactly there like we're used to seeing Deion do. I don't know if that's a part of the new system with Dean Pease, but I'm not expecting him to be back this upcoming season, especially with that June 1st sort of deadline day that, they can actually make the move. But yeah, the biggest indicator to me is especially all the linebackers they've added, whether that's the draft and free agency, and sort of the younger guys as well. Michael Walker, I'm sure, is going to have more of an expanded role this season in the linebacking core. Troy Anderson, really excited to see what he can bring. Was a big Nakobe Dean guy myself, but that's all in the past. But Troy Anderson, I am excited to see what he can bring with just his size, his speed. Really kind of sort of similar to what Deion Jones was drafted for, like that he was drafted for his, his agility, what he could do. And, his first couple of years, we saw that. So I'm excited to see maybe Troy Anderson fill that void that Deion maybe hasn't been the last couple of years, because I mean, he's been sort of a different player. His first couple of years in the league, I mean, he was one of the best young linebackers in all the NFL. But he has sort of fallen off a little bit for me.
To this question, can you, so with the additions to the backfield, of course, do you like Algier? Do you like the Algier pick?
I do. Yeah, I like Tyler Algier a lot. And I really like what he is, because I think the NFL, as far as running back ones are concerned, are moving toward more of what Tyler Algier is. It's sort of that stockier, bigger built, running back. I think you see that. I mean, Derrick Henry, I'm sure, outlier. You don't see, he's a unicorn as far as running backs are concerned. But no, I think he provides, or he's going to take a little bit of the load off of a guy like Cordarrelle Patterson, because I really think Cordarrelle Patterson isn't best suited to be in the backfield. I think what we did last year worked, but I think toward the tail end of the season, you saw him sort of taper off because, just the amount of wear and tear he was getting as a running back one that, we were expecting Mike Davis to be back there, but he didn't really end up, panning out too well. But I am excited to see what Tyler Algier can bring. I do think he has running back one potential. I'm not going to say he's going to be that yet, because of course he's a rookie. We haven't really seen anything yet, but I've seen a lot of his highlight tape. That one play where he's chasing down one of the defenders after a turnover and he jumps and strips him. I was like, damn, this guy's got some speed, man. And like, as far as short and like, he almost looks like a fullback out there sometimes. Yeah, I am excited for him. And I do think as of this point, he is an upgrade over Mike Davis, because Mike was love Mike Davis. Great interview. But, I think he was one of the bigger disappointments this past season for Falcons fans.
Okay, so we talk about Algier. A lot of people have kind of just forgotten about Quadre, I feel like. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you expect Quadre to kind of prove people wrong in this season, or do you think he's kind of just playing that role again? Where he's like a bench player?
I'm hoping so, because every time he came in last season, he provided a spark, I thought, at least. Every time he came in, it was like, whoa, 7 yards. We've been needing that. Like, I mean, whoa, okay, here we go. But it had me wondering why he wasn't, because, I mean, I'm sure he wasn't being put in for a reason. I mean, I assumed that maybe he wasn't showing something, but I do hope that they play him more, because I think all three of them complement each other well. Tyler Algier is more of the power back, Cordarrelle Patterson, Swiss Army knife, and Quadre back there, who's a little bit of a change of pace. You can bring him in on third down as short yardage situation, or you can come out of the backfield and catch passes. You can kind of do a little bit of everything. So I think he's a great change of pace back, and would love to see his role expand a little bit more. He reminds me a lot right now of Ito Smith, because I remember I wanted Ito to just play so much more than he did. So I'm hoping that role expands, but I mean, time will tell. I'm sure the coaches are seeing something that we're not.
You got anything, Devontae?
Yeah. What's up, Miles? I didn't.
What's going on, man?
Get a little introduction in, but hey, how you doing? I'm glad we're speaking outside of talking about. I know last time we was DMing, we was talking about DW from the Arthur show, but now we're talking about
a while ago. Yeah,
so I'm glad to see you on the show.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Okay, I'm like, we're getting a lot of questions. I'm liking everybody in the comments. If you do have questions for Miles, make sure you do put them in the comments. Eric asked, how do you guys feel about the D tackle position? For me, I think it just takes. I feel like we're. It's funny. I'm going to use his name. We're rushing to see what this D line will be, or at least the D tackle position. But we don't know what Anthony Rush is going to come out looking like this year. We know Grady's going to be Grady. We don't know about TQ, which I still think TQ is going to be a dog. I think this year he's going to take a huge leap. So that's three guys right there. So if you think about Dean Pease, and you still have Marlon, you got to think you still got Marlon, you still got TQ, you still got Grady, you still have Rush. So you got four guys that can play that head down D tackle position, and then you have your edges. But to be the hand down guys, I feel like we don't have a true nose, and which we all was talking about. We all know Jordan Davis. We were all talking about Jordan Davis as being the nose,
Yeah.
but we don't know. Rush is a huge dude. Rush is a very large individual. He's not a small guy. He's like 6'5", 300 something pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not a small guy in the middle. I feel like we have to wait and see. Like I say, like we're waiting. We're going through OTAs, but we have to think. We got to wait till training camp to really and truly be like ready to know what's going to go happen.
Yeah, I mean, you got to see him in pads. You got to see him in action, especially in the preseason, I think is when we're going to get a better idea. And man, I am rooting for Marlon Davidson. I have been wanting to see him break out so bad because ever since we drafted him, he's been billed as, Grady 2.0, and great guy too. I love Marlon. He's hilarious, but he really's got to step up. And oh my God, I'm still surprised John Kaminsky is still on this team.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for him to do something as well. It seems like he has just been like, it seemed like every game he was just always inactive, but he was just always there.
He was there.
I'm like, is this guy going to be used or?
Yeah, being at the games and just seeing him on the sideline, it was just like, okay, he's not dressed, but he's here.
Like, what's going on here? I'm waiting to see these guys. Rush, I'm really excited about it. As you were saying, I do like what I'm seeing there. We don't even have to talk about Grady. Grady's Grady, but it's definitely, I mean, this team has had so many areas of concern, but I think the biggest areas of concern have been the trenches, offense and defense. And I hate to say it, but I think that those are going to be the two areas that are going to make or break this team and could be a big reason why they, as many people are predicting, I'm sure Arthur Smith may outcoach this a little bit, but why they're most likely going to have a high draft pick next year.
I think the coach, I feel for me, I have a lot of I have high expectations, but at the same time, it's very, because we won 7 games last year, right? It's very warranted to think we can get better
against a very easy schedule, mind you.
Yeah. Now this year, our schedule has gotten a lot harder, and I think that's the thing where we have to worry about, because it's a hard schedule. It's not like we're playing. Last year was a very simple schedule.
We don't have to play the Jaguars again.
Yeah, we're not playing the AFC South. We're playing every division we play as a playoff team.
Yep.
Really and truly. So we're playing playoff teams all year. And I really hope we kind of sort of show ourselves and prove ourselves wrong. But I believe we're going to get over 5 wins. I'll give us over 5 wins, which is kind of like the line where everybody's putting us at. And I think we're definitely going to get over 5 wins.
Yeah, my whole theory about the schedule this year is I thought that they're going to have a worse record than last year, but they'll be noticeably better. If you know what I'm saying. I think we're going to watch the product and be like, okay, this is better than last year, but I don't think it's going to result in more wins just because of how hard the schedule is.
Yeah, I feel like you said, well, it'll be a better product. You got anything, Devontae?
Yeah, as far as the team goes, when I look at the schedule, I wasn't scared, like most people were saying, we're going 2-15. I don't subscribe to that. I think of every game, any game, any given Sunday, I don't care about what the record is. It's who want to play the hardest and who want to get that dub. So that's how I think about it. As far as looking at the schedule, I don't care if it's the Rams, the 0-2 Rams. I don't care who it is. I think this team has enough coaching to get out there with a W. If they do feel like it and if they execute well. And as far as, everybody, we was talking about the defensive tackles, I think, this whole team is potential. So it's kind of hard to kind of project because all we know is that we know what Marlon Davidson can be, but is he? Same thing for Kaminsky, same thing for Taquan Graham, Phil Taylor, Anthony Rush, whoever else they want to bring in. It's just how well are they going to fit on the team? It's just yet to see. It's a bunch of moving parts. So I'm waiting to see them in the preseason and the regular season, and I think they're going to do way better than last year.
Well, Mike, Miles, you got told not to talk about Edo Smith.
Last time, I promise.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's all about potential with this team. I think that's the thing now is we have to see the potential, and it's hard. I feel like it's going to be hard this year for a lot of people because think about it. It's a rebuild season,
It
and
is. Yeah.
and especially for Falcons fans
It's a
who have
retool.
Retool. Excuse me. Yeah,
retool
we can't be
season.
saying rebuild.
Yeah, it's a retool season. So we all know as a lot of Falcons fans that they have the false sense that we're supposed to be winning every year, and we're not that team. We don't have Matt. We don't because I feel like this schedule probably would have been different. Let's be honest. If we had Matt, we probably would have saw the schedule a lot different if we had Matt. A lot of people probably would have been like, okay, they're gonna win a little bit more games based off of Matt Ryan.
Although I will say, to play devil's advocate, and y'all know me, biggest Matt Ryan fan in the world. I am very curious to see what Arthur Smith is able to do now with the mobile quarterback, with Marcus, with Desmond, to see what they can do outside of the pocket and more of that movement back there. Because even Matt was getting a little bit more of that training last year. I mean, Matt is limited. We all know that. But at the end of the day, he didn't have the mobility that Ritter had. He didn't have the mobility that Mariota has. So I'm curious to see if that adds a whole new wrinkle to this offense. If we're going to see plays that we haven't seen before, because Matt did keep us in a hell of a lot of games and was probably a reason why we won a lot of games. But at the same time, there was a whole maybe other aspect of this offense we didn't even see yet. So I'm really excited to see that.
I think, like you said, Matt is very limited in what he can do. Like you're not going to run a lot of RPO. You're not going to run a lot of, QB draws and stuff. Yeah. And that helps your run game sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we'll have a better run game, which isn't nothing against Matt. Like we all know we love Matt. It's nothing against Matt. I feel like having Ritter, having Mariota, it kind of opens your run game up some more because of the pure fact you have the ability to make him run. Like it's not like, because you weren't gonna let Matt run. Matt run, he get hit, he might get injured. So now you have two younger, and Mariota isn't the youngest, but he's a younger guy. Yeah. And he's injury prone. We all know he's gonna be injury prone, but a lot of people are saying he's coming in healthier than he has in a long time. I think the years on the bench helped him a lot more health wise, which I think he needed that time to sit there and, be behind somebody. And I think that's the thing that people aren't going to understand. People don't want to believe. I know a lot of people, we all love Matt, y'all. It's time to kind of think about the future. It's time to kind of push the Matt talk and stuff away from Atlanta. We all know what he's doing in Indy. We can see everybody reposting it. Let's make sure we kind of think about these kids. We got young guys. Kids. Like we got guys that we should be looking forward to, because Ritter is somebody I think we should all be looking forward to seeing. Yeah. I feel like the way he's handling himself, the way he's showing himself off, as somebody you really want to look at. This question's for you. Will our secondary hold up if healthy? Also, can the backup secondary will fit in? This is for you, Miles. I think they were trying to say, can the backup secondary?
No, this is one of the position groups I'm most excited to see, because obviously you have the addition of Casey Hayward, who I love, by the way. I think that was our best signing this free agency, Georgia boy as well. We know what we're getting in AJ Terrell, top 3 cornerback in the league. Him paired up with Casey is going to be something great. But I think something that's underrated is the return of Isaiah Oliver, because before last season, I was such a big critic of Isaiah Oliver. And then coming into last season, he was one of the biggest surprises before he got hurt. I thought he was playing extremely well before that injury happened. Now he comes back full strength, hopefully. So you get those 3 guys already at the top 3. And then apparently, this is according to Dean Pease, you get Jalen Hawkins and Richie Grant finally able to take that next step and be those starters at the safety positions. And it's really exciting. You have 2 young guys back there anchoring the defense, and we were waiting to see Richie Grant. And we saw both of them come in and spot duty from time to time, but all year long, we were like, where's Richie Grant? He's our 2nd round pick. What's he doing? And all season long, all we were hearing was from Dean Pease was that he's not ready. He's not having the terminology down yet. And we all know Dean Pease has a very complicated system for a defensive coordinator. So as we know, these things can take time. Maybe for certain guys, it takes a little bit longer. But Apparently, according to Dean Peets, he said this in minicamp, that those guys are ready to rock and roll. And I cannot wait to see it happen because I loved the Richie Grant pick originally when it happened. I was very excited. I had a friend down in Florida, Central Florida, who was covering him at the time and said it was a great pick. So yeah, I'm very excited for this secondary. And look, we might need them. I mean, based on this defensive line, they might not be getting too much pressure on the quarterback. I'm hoping Arnold Ebiketie gives a little bit of that bump along with Lorenzo Carter, but if not, they might be pretty busy back there in the secondary.
Yeah, we just got to let the fans know it's okay to not exactly be ready to just jump out there. There's a plan for everybody. So, specifically like James Mayfield, Jalen Mayfield wasn't supposed to go out there.
No.
It was supposed to be Josh Andrews, but he wanted to break his hand before week 1. So that's why we saw Jalen Mayfield. But, everybody, as just like an article came out today, there's a development plan with everybody. So once you see them come in, if they don't come in and get 10, 12 sacks, you know that there's a plan for them. So that's just all I got to say. Just be patient. Don't write nobody off.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, Miles.
Yeah.
All is forgiven, all right? All is forgiven for the Edo Smith
Very sorry.
comment. Sorry. So, and that's basically just solely because you gave my boy Isaiah Oliver. I'm a huge Isaiah Oliver fan, but
Awesome.
I got a question. I got to kind of put you on the spot a little bit.
Sure.
If there's one thing about this team that, as a fan, that you cannot see again, what is that one thing that will literally drive you over the edge if you see it this year with the Falcons?
Ooh, that's a real good question. Oh man. See, I was gonna say the sacks thing, but I mean, I'm honestly expecting that to still be an issue just because we didn't really address the offensive line too much. And again, I think most people are expecting that to happen. But what would drive me nuts? Man, that is a very good question. Man, I might have to think about that one for a second. Again, the first thing that comes to mind might be just, maybe some not getting Kyle Pitts the ball in the end zone. I mean, 1 touchdown in for a 17-game season, I think is completely ridiculous if you're drafting a tight end in the first round, especially with his capabilities. So, I'm optimistic that that's going to change, especially with these new big guys that they have on the outside. But if Kyle Pitts is getting 2-3 touchdowns in a full season, I'm going to be very upset. And I think most Falcons fans would share
that. I think a lot of people feel the same exact way as you. I don't know if we expected Pitts to be, because you drafted him at 8.
Sure.
And you were like, okay, I mean at 4, I said 8 at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was like, okay, he's going to have to be that guy.
I didn't expect. I know tight ends, they take some time to develop, but I expect, and I know he did extremely well yardage wise, set records, set precedents, loved all that. I just 1 touchdown isn't cutting it for me. I'm like, if we're drafting a weapon that high, he's got to score some touchdowns.
Yeah. For you, this is another question for you. If you have to, you got to extend 2 players this year, not named AJ and Chris Lindstrom. Who are the 2 players you're going to extend?
Man, you guys are
we putting him on the spot. These are some tough questions. Good.
Oh, they going crazy in the comments.
Man, who am I extending? Trying to think, because Cordero Patterson was a 1-year deal, right?
I think he was 1 or 2.
I'm trying to get these deals correctly. I'm forgetting some of them. AJ and Chris. AJ is about to get paid, man. AJ is get bank. I think we just re-upped Jake Matthews, correct?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Jake got extended.
I remember some of these guys. One guy. I mean, we've been talking about it. I'm gonna get some brownie points again here from Mike. But if Isaiah Oliver shows out again, I would be all for extending him. Because big time. And it's funny because I was a huge critic of him too, but I was so excited to see what he brought last season because I just hadn't seen it before. I mean, just the aggressive, like bringing him on the cornerback blitzes sometimes. I think he was making some plays in the backfield and some great coverage plays. I mean, again, all about it. I really liked what I was seeing from Isaiah Oliver because, I mean, as far as just extending guys, there isn't a. I mean, it's a very new team. I mean, there's a lot of rookies on this team. There's a lot of veterans who are not going to be here long. I mean, I'd love to say Marcus Mariota, but I think we all want to see Desmond Ridder be the one to outperform him. I think we want to see Mariota ideally on a rental deal here, maybe stay here for a year or two and bounce. But as far as someone else on this team right now, it's a little iffy right now. I guess I'll give the Isaiah Oliver answer for now.
Okay, so Zacchaeus signed his tender, so Zacchaeus is one guy next year.
And honestly, I mean, I love Zacchaeus. I can live without Olamide Zacchaeus, though.
Yeah,
I got one for shock value if y'all want it.
What's that?
I got one for shock value. I'm gonna go with Matt.
What's
Hennessy.
that? Let's hear it.
Matt Hennessy. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Ooh, that's a very interesting one.
I forgot Hennessy.
Wow.
Yeah,
That guy's playing for his job this year.
A lot of people are writing him off. I don't consider him being wrote off. I know everybody's like, well, they want Drew Dalman to come in, but I think Matt Hennessy is very talented. I think he's going to show, certainly with this scheme that's more focused on the physicality, that he's the right technician and the person for to be at center.
Interesting. That's a real good one.
I'm gonna throw because really and truly, Arden Tate and Brian Edwards, both their contracts are off this year.
Oh, are they?
One of them, yeah. One of them is getting a deal.
Brian Edwards is a guy I got my eye on. I love that signing.
I think he's a very good Y. Like if he's going to be an elite Y next to Drake, and you gotta have him. Literally and truly, if he comes out this season and he shows you, you're gonna have to. Yeah. You're gonna have to keep him. That's the thing where you're gonna have to find your receiving core. We went down this year and we went and got a whole lot of wide receivers, but we don't have our receiving core just yet. Yeah. And a lot of guys, hopefully he doesn't expect a huge contract, which I wouldn't expect him to if you're him, because you weren't getting a lot of snaps in with the Raiders. Now, if you come here,
he's not a wide receiver one either. I mean, he knows his role. He knows his role. He's a wide receiver two at his best.
Yeah. At his best, he's a wide receiver too, especially in the NFL. Now, Tennessee, he was a different breed. I mean, in South Carolina, he was a different breed of. But in the NFL, you're a wide receiver too, and you understand at this point you're young. He's only like what 20.
He's still very young. Yeah,
23, 24. Like, and Drake's barely 20. And Drake barely is 21, 22. So you have your X and your Y are very, and then of course Pitts is just a unicorn. Yeah. So he goes and plays at any position he wants to. So you have to add that third wide receiver, which we don't know. It could be Tate. It could be we might just keep Zacchaeus because Arthur Smith likes Zacchaeus. Like he's come out and said
that's what he is too. I think Olamide Zacchaeus at his best is a wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a wide receiver 2. I mean, he's too little.
He's too little. He's rare. He's really, I feel like he's a slot guy.
Yeah. Extremely athletic, but I mean, if he's your wide receiver 2, as he was he was wide receiver 1 for a little bit of last year. I mean, that's a problem.
We got 2 questions back to back. But do you guys think we have the right guys for the O-line? I guess I'll let Devontae go first, and then Mike, and then we'll do Miles.
You said, do we have the right guys for the O-line?
Yes.
I'm going to go with yes, because we're seeing a team that is going to be more structured to running the ball first, which is literally what Jalen Mayfield showed his improvement at. You know, I know a lot of people are just writing him off, talking about he's like one of the worst guards in history. I don't care about all that. You know, somebody that's been, thrust into the line from the right side, going all the way to the left side, and playing guard, which is a completely different position. We all have understated how difficult that is, especially playing next to a Matt Hennessy, who was his first season starting fully. So I do think if we focus on running the ball first and having a mobile quarterback and doing things like that, moving Mariota around, moving my receivers around, I think the offensive line is going to look completely different and vastly improved this season.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
I want to hold judgment off because we don't know how the offensive line is going to respond to either quarterback. When you look at from last year under Matt Ryan, I mean, we know Matt Ryan he's no Michael Vick. I mean, He's a pocket quarterback for the most part. He's in the pocket. You know where Matt Ryan is going to be for the most part. So I don't know how the offensive linemen are going to respond. I'm kind of working on an idea. But we're looking to see how many of the I'll kind of hold that, but we're doing some research as far as our offensive linemen and some things with the offensive lineman and mobile quarterback versus pocket quarterbacks. But I honestly I want to see how these guys react um with the mobile quarterback versus, because the other things with mobile quarterbacks you can design things um with the offensive lineman kind of get out of the way, as far as like, we know that Caleb McGarry is a guy. If you leave him on the island alone without help, you don't use a lot of rollouts, quarterback sprints and those things of that nature. He'll get eaten alive by a guy like Cam Hayward. So if you want some motions and things of that nature to kind of help him out, to kind of get the defense off of one side, we can see. But like, I want to hold judgment on these guys. I want to see how they react with Mariota and Desmond Ritter before I say like if his offensive line is better or not.
Miles, your opinion on it?
Yeah, no, I think everyone's right as far as waiting to see what we've got, especially with the new, because again, the offense is going to look completely different with new quarterbacks there and some of these new receivers that we have on the edge. But I mean, at face value right now, I certainly do have concerns because again, it wasn't addressed early in the draft and really wasn't addressed too much, I guess, from the top end in free agency. They brought in a lot of guys to compete with Caleb McGarry for that position, which I thought was noticeable. I think that says a lot as far as, bringing guys in to compete for that specific position, because we all know Caleb has to perform a lot better if he wants to keep his job. But there's one thing about Caleb McGarry that I do actually like, and he's not a horrible run blocker. His pass blocking has its issues, but his run blocking is pretty good. And you add in more of the mobile quarterback, perhaps that changes. Maybe there's some schemes that maybe better suit his abilities, because he's a big guy. I mean, you just look at him and he stands out on the field. But I mean, we know what we're getting in Jake Matthews, Chris Lindstrom. I mean, Lindstrom's a stud. I think you can give an argument that he's one of the best offensive linemen in the NFC right now. But really like the draft picks of Justin Schaefer, the guy out of Georgia. I think he's going to end up competing for a starting role on that offensive line. Again, as we were saying, I'd love to see a little bit more from Matt Hennessy. He underwhelmed me a little bit this past season, but it is big shoes to fill with Alex Mack. But I really do want to see a big step from him this season, because he's got to show me something to have me warrant him still being under center for another season. And again, as we were saying with Jalen Mayfield, he wasn't supposed to start. He had some development that he needed to get straight. And we did see some moments where some flashes of why he was drafted. Again, he's a rookie. He was a kid. He was not supposed to start. But there's really nowhere else to go but up for Jalen Mayfield. So this is a group that we're just going to have to see perform in training camp and in the preseason to see what exactly we're getting.
We talk about you said something that piqued my ears. You said Chris Lindstrom is one of the best guards in the NFC right now, which I give him the credit of being probably the best. When there's only two people I give credit, I give O-line, and that's Quentin Nelson, that's Lindstrom. Those are the only two at guard. I'm like, those are the two of the most crazy, like, biggest dogs on O-line I've ever seen, especially in this time period. Yeah. A lot of guys aren't just straight dogs, and Quentin Nelson and Lindstrom are the only two people that have not given up a sack in the season these last couple of years. And we talked about this Monday night. I was on the show Monday night. We talked about just cap space and O-line playing stuff like that. Quentin Nelson is making he's on a 4-year, $23 million contract. So we talk about having $100 million next year. You're gonna have to sign Lindstrom to a contract similar, if not close to the same.
He won't.
So
I don't think he'll warrant that kind of money, but he'll get close.
He'll get close. He'll
Yeah.
get 20. I think he'll get 20.
Yeah.
I feel like
if his agent's good, he'll get
yeah,
close.
he'll get a mate. He'll if he balls out again this year and doesn't give up the sack, then yeah, definitely I feel like he's gonna get that elite guard level type money. Which is the thing with the O line. We have elite O linemen. Let's think about this. Jake Matthews was and still I would still say he's an elite tackle. He's still one of the best left tackles.
He's extremely consistent. You know what
you're
getting.
At least it's consistent. He's one of the most consistent left tackles you're gonna have.
Yeah.
And he is I almost called him an all-star. He's a Pro Bowler. So and he has all pro, like we got a great left tackle. We have somebody that's set there. He's going to be that left tackle for the next couple of years, at least till his contract is up. You're right. Your left guard, that's Schaefer and Mayfield's area. Those are those two. I feel like they're going to really go after it in camp. I wouldn't expect Mayfield to lose his job maybe till later on, unless he really comes to this season and he's not, what he's supposed to be, what he's supposed to be. Everybody has an off-season plan. If you be honest, they tell you what you're supposed to work on. So if he comes into this offseason, this offseason, going to OTAs, going into training camp, and he hasn't gotten better at what they told him to work on, then we're going to see Schaefer probably get a lot more snaps preseason. We're going to see this O-line get mixed up in preseason for me. I think we all should know that. We're going to see a lot of weird lineups. And the first two games. That third game, I feel like we might not even see our starters, but I feel like we will, because Arthur Smith said he was going to play his starters.
Yes, big change from last year.
Yeah. He said he realized he messed up and that he was actually going to play his starters this preseason. So I feel like you have to realize these O linemen, I mean, they have to grow together. Like James said, it's a growth and development. Hennessy is still my pick at center. I love Drew Dalman. I love the Drew Dalman pick last year. If you guys know, y'all know, you go on my page, if you go on Feedly, you see I did a Drew Dalman show. I love Drew Dalman. Drew Dalman gets to the second level better than any center I've seen. It's just, what is he going to do? If we get into, because you got to think now, that defense we have is fast. I'm not going to use the other word because Mike already banned.
Don't you dare.
That defense is very fast. And we those guys got to go versus them when we put on pads.
Yeah. And
you're going to have to see Mayfield block Tony Anderson. Troy. You're going to have to see him block Troy. You're going to have to see him, you're going to have to see them guys block Dion if Dion's still here. You're going to have to see them block all of these linebackers and Grady. So they're going to show you, that defense is not a slouch. And that's what makes your offense better. When your defense is better, your offense is better, especially in practice. And that O-line is going to get a lot of work. You got to think, you added Lorenzo Carter. You still got to think you got to go versus Ogundeji. You still got to go. You got Malone now. You still got those guys that are going to make you better. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just because you brought it up, and we were talking more about the trenches earlier. Ogundeji, I think, is going to surprise some people. He's my boy. I love Ade Ogundeji. I think he was one of the brightest spots that we had. I think he was the second best pick we had last year behind Kyle Pitts as far as guys who actually performed for this team last season. I thought, what was he, a 5th round pick last year? For a 5th round pick, that guy was getting a lot of production. And I think everyone's learning the system for the first time. When you have a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, everything is new, everything is fresh. And of course, it's no different with the rookies. But I think Ade has got so much potential. His size, his speed, I think he can add so much to this defensive line. And as you said, I think there's a lot of excitement there because we all know Dean Pease is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. He's won at every stop he's been at. And he has a very complex system. It's the reason why Richie Grant wasn't playing a lot this past season. So I think we see these guys with a full season of learning, of growth, of, figuring out the terminology of these things we're going to see some good things. I think the defense might actually surprise some people this year. And Ade, I just wanted to throw it out there. Love him. He's my guy.
I was like, when you were at Notre Dame? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why I got a soft spot.
I was like, yeah,
I
so
always like that.
You had personal conversations with him, so you know him kind of. So for you, who is your breakout player?
My breakout player, I think it has to be Richie Grant. I mean, Richie's he didn't play at all last year, so I think he's projected to start this year. Everyone's been raving about him so far. Knock on wood. We'll see what happens. But I think Richie is the perfect candidate to be that breakout player per se. I'd love to say Lorenzo Carter, because God, it would be great if we actually sacked the quarterback for once. That would be fantastic. I'd love to say him, but I'm just really excited to see what Richie can bring back there, because we haven't had a good looking safety back there since Keanu Neal when he was healthy, and I just feel like it's been forever ago now.
I have a question. I have a question for him. He can kind of, Miles, you can kind of give your a better outlook as far as the coaching staff is concerned. I know we all know that Dean Pease he's what 70-something years old.
Yeah,
all
right?
He's up there. So let's just say, all right, he wakes up tomorrow and says this is his last year as the defensive coordinator for the Falcons. Who do you think is in line, or is there a guy lined up for the Atlanta Falcons to kind of come in and, fill the void?
That's a very, very good question. I wish I had a better answer for it. I would say the first guy that came to mind when you brought that up was I'm already blanking on his name. He was the interim head coach, Raheem Morris. He was the first guy that came to mind, but I doubt that they would bring him back just because, he's got a good thing going where he's at currently, and I doubt they'd bring someone back from a previous regime to come and coach these guys. As far as the position coaches are concerned, I had just pulled up the list here just to take a look at it again, since I haven't looked at the coaches in a while. I know they're high on Frank Bush, the linebackers coach, but again, I don't know if he would take that, next step to be the guy in line waiting per se for a defensive coordinator role. I wouldn't put it past Arthur Smith to look at his coaching staff at Tennessee when he was there. I'd have to look at the coaching staff back then, who was there at Tennessee besides Dean Pease. I'd assume. Hell, look at what Ryan Pace has been doing. Wouldn't be surprised if we get someone from Chicago to come down here.
I don't think Falcons fans would like that, though.
No, they would not. It seems like every single player the Bears have drafted who hasn't panned out in Chicago has somehow ended up an Atlanta Falcon this past year. But that's a great question. I wish I had a better answer for it.
I think you said the right name. I think Frank Bush.
Yeah.
I think we've had two names all season that kind of circled around, and that's coaching on the coaching staff. It's been Frank Bush, and it's been the linebacker coaches. Those have been the main two that have kind of been in the news.
I forget his name. I don't know why I want to call him Tony Mandarich.
It's Ted Machine.
I have no idea.
Talking about Ted Machiano?
Ted Monachino.
Yeah. So I think those are the guys where I feel like those two are definitely at the steps where they're going to. If Dean Pease wakes up this year and says, if he wakes up tomorrow and says, "This is my last year, I'm retiring," those are the two guys we would look for inside the staff. I would say I think you go look outside. There's a lot of good outside picks you can choose from. It just depends on what Arthur Smith wants and what Terry wants. I think it depends. That's what it depends on.
I do think there was a plan too, because Dean Pease was retired. So I think both of them have an understanding. The public obviously doesn't know, but I do think in coercing Dean Pease out of retirement, I'm sure they reached an agreement as to this is how long I'm giving you. Because you don't just talk a guy out of retirement like that to coach a rebuilding team without a set plan.
Yeah. Any other questions you guys have in the comments, go ahead and put them in. We go ahead and we're gonna try to wrap it up right about here. If you got questions, Mike, or Devontae, if y'all have questions, y'all can ask them. Anybody in the comments, if you have questions, shoot them real quick. Thank you, Miles. Of course, go ahead and go ahead and do your free promo. We're going to let you get it out.
Yeah, no, I certainly appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I will not be posting political stuff for too much longer to everyone in my own benefit. Hasn't been my favorite thing in the world, but hey, pays the bills. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Miles Garrett TV with an I, not a Y. I'll be getting back to Falcons content very soon. Also starting a series coming up pretty soon. I'm going to be getting some former Falcons or just some notable people on Twitter for a segment I'm going to call 2-minute drill. It's going to just be 2 minutes of just fun banter and whatnot ahead of the Falcons season, getting us going into training camp. So going to get that started probably next week. So you can look forward to that. We're probably going to have Harry Douglas on with me.
Oh, definitely. So you get to actually work with a lot of you get to work with DJ, and you get to work with Roddy. I mean not Roddy, you get to work with Harry.
Harry, yeah. We've worked with Roddy before though.
Oh yeah, you have, yeah, actually. Yeah. So for you, is that kind of cool? Like, this is just a media question. Is it cool to work around with those guys, like to be around them, because you watch them like when you were growing up. So is it different now, like being able to work with them?
Oh no, it's crazy. I mean, I remember watching DJ win the 2005 SEC championship when I was like 10 years old. So it was kind of funny to end up having him as my coworker now and seeing him in the office every day. But no, DJ's a great guy, humble guy, works very hard. He's pretty much become like the sports MC of the entire state. I feel like he's always doing stuff, whether it's for Georgia, UGA, and for the Atlanta Falcons. But yeah, Harry Douglas is absolutely hilarious. One of the funniest guys I've worked with. He's a busy guy too. He's a First Take now and ESPN. He's a very busy guy, always doing something. But working with those guys has been a pleasure. I really enjoy them.
A question from Noah. If Dean P says that, where does that put our process? Would it force us to get a playoff spot this year?
I wouldn't go as far as playoffs. I'd say improvement. I would certainly say that. I think it's going to be a lot better than what we saw last year. But I would definitely pump the brakes on playoffs. I would just say we will definitely be more competitive. I just don't know if that'll result in wins just yet.
Mike, your opinion on it?
Well,
I do think the process is on track. I think it's on the right track. I'll put that out there.
No, I don't think so. I don't think DNP is that type of person. I don't think he's one of those guys. It's like, all right, you have to make the playoffs or I'm going. Like, I don't think he has that type of mentality. I don't think he had that thinking that we're thinking when he, took the job to begin with. He knew it was going to be a process. He knew the Falcons' issues, aging quarterback, an aging wide receiver, the defense that needed to be overhauled. So I don't think it would force the Falcons to play.
Devontae?
If I remember correctly, didn't Dean Pease call Arthur Smith, not vice versa, to come back?
Right.
Yeah. I think he knows, what's going on and how everything's going to be a process. He had that itch, so I think he knows a lot more football. He's been coaching longer than every one of us been alive, I think. So he has an idea for what he wants. As far as playoffs, I'm hoping. But, if they don't make it, then I understand. But if they improve, that's the best part. I want them to improve, If they can get 7 games with Matt Ryan and everybody else left big toe at wide receiver, then I better say they can do a lot better this year.
He was kind of forced out of Tennessee as well. I think, Vrabel kind of wanted to take more of the reins up as a defensive coordinator. So I think he was kind of forced out of Tennessee. I don't think he's one of those guys that's like ready to call it quits. He just reminds me of Bill Belichick. These guys are going to coast to 90 years old if they can. Like I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon.
I think it's just you bored at that age. I feel like that's really what it is. Like, bro, what else is there to do? You've been coaching your whole life. Like your kind of career paths is going on the radio, going on TV, or just being at home.
He's not
So-
on TV
Or
either.
eating some tapioca at the house.
And he does not
Right.
like being on. He does not like interviews. Like if you
Not
ever
at
went
all.
to his press conferences, they are
Him and
not.
D-Led are they've had some fun banter.
Oh yeah, they've had some
Oh,
really
yeah.
fun banter.
When y'all
they've
say
had
fun.
some good back and forth.
Yeah, I'm being generous with that.
So for you, for you being in, have you been in the room with them like going at
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Like how does that feel? Like is it just like do you feel the tension in the air when
yeah.
when he's talking to?
Yeah, no, I mean, I like to think I know when the appropriate time to ask certain questions are. D-Led certainly has the mentality of I don't care what you think of me when I ask this question. I'm gonna just ask it because I'm going to ask it mentality. So him and Michael Rothstein are both the guys that probably butt heads with the coaches the most. They get in more of the back and forth type stuff that you'll see. Myself and the Fox, more the TV people. It's not as intense as that is concerned because our sound bites, admittedly, being on TV, aren't as laser focused as some of the print guys are. They're more into the X's and O's and the play calling and stuff. We're on TV, so we have to get the casual viewer who doesn't care about sports to watch us. So we have to find something that they would want to relate to or hear. So our questions aren't necessarily, they can be, but not necessarily as hard hitting or as, maybe confrontational per se as D-Led or Rothstein's are.
Yeah, I think like you said, you get this. Well, I think when Mike first got here, when Rothstein really when he first got here, he wasn't like that, but you can tell now he's a lot more comfortable. Oh, yeah. And you hear a certain amount of his questions, you be like, oh, he's trying to press.
Oh no, there's sometimes I'm back in the press room and I'm just kind of like, oh God, like I'm gonna pretend I'm not here.
I've heard. I think I like the thing about the coaching staff, and you can touch a little bit on this. They kind of just laugh at the media a little bit, like not in a bad way, but like they kind of just don't care. Yeah, like they don't really see it as an important thing. Like they just do their interviews as part of their job and then just get off the podium. Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say the funny thing is, Arthur Smith loves doing his best Bill Belichick impersonation when he's at the podium, but he's actually pretty funny. He's got a pretty good dry sense of humor when the cameras are off and we're just kind of, shooting the crap. And I wish he'd do it a little bit more because he's actually kind of funny.
He gives me that vibe. Like he's really like he's an office type of funny. Like he's just real, like it's just funny to be fun. Yeah. A question from I don't want to miss Javen. If Mariota plays like a number 2 pick, how far can the Falcons go with the current roster?
It's hard to tell. I mean, it's having his mobility again. If we're talking about absolute peak Mariota, the best he can be, number 2 Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota, then I mean he can probably do a good bit. The problem is that he's just never healthy. At his peak, I think he can be something special, but we haven't really seen him at his peak. I think his entire career, he's never lived up to that potential or what we saw him do at Oregon. So, I mean, if we were to see him at Oregon, that type of Marcus Mariota, things may certainly change, but again, playoff, I think it's such a strong word for this team. It's so early on. I know people like to make that Cincinnati Bengals comparison, with what they did, but Joe Burrow is just a different animal. That dude it was so crazy what he did. He just willed that team to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell with Marcus Mariota.
I feel like him and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, that connection
is a thing where I want to build that with Ritter and London.
Yeah,
where they just had that connection, like just throw it up. I know I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah.
Screw it. That's kind of what. Yeah, it's kind of what you can look at a lot of the throws. Like he kind of just threw it up for Chase, and Chase went and got it. Yeah, and we got a whole bunch of those guys. So even if it's Ritter or Mariota, we know Mariota's accuracy isn't Oregon accuracy. Now it might be back to what it was, but even if it's okay accuracy, he has guys that can go up and get it. So we want those guys. You want to have those guys. So I think that's if he's back to level, I guess, Oregon Mariota, if he's back to Heisman level Mariota and he's healthy, that's a good team. Like I mean that he helps the offense a lot, like a lot. If that's the case, what's your opinion on it, Mike?
Wow. That's. I'm gonna just go with what Miles said. I'm just gonna piggyback off. I'm look. I'm just gonna say it like this. He's no Matt Ryan, and let's not pretend that he's Matt Ryan or he's going to be Matt Ryan. So I don't have those same expectations. I think it's foolish to even have those expectations and think, all right, he's going to be a number two. There's been number two picks, number one picks that didn't live up to the hype. So I'm not going to put extra, that extra, on his shoulders. I'm just going to let him be what he can be, and we're just going to take it game by game, see what he can do.
I like that. I like that. This was his best year in his second year in the league. Was the 26 touchdown and 9 picks year. If you go look at that year, he didn't have a lot of like some. I think Noah said it. Like he did it with worse wide receivers to throw to, and he's shown great. He's shown elite level talent. Like he's the only quarterback I've seen get a ball batted down and he goes to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, like he has some highlight plays.
He's shown flashes. He really has.
He's shown a lot of good flashes. It's just if he can do a whole season of it and stay healthy. I don't want. The thing is for me, I don't want Ritter to start just because Mariota got hurt. That's what I don't want.
Yeah.
That was kind of sort of what Justin Fields had to go through last year when he kind of got thrown in there because all their quarterbacks got hurt. So you can see, because you throw Ritter's not NFL ready. I'm gonna say it, not in a bad way. He's not NFL ready in a good way. He needs to learn the playbook. I think that's like his main problem is learning knowledge, learning the playbook, which is gonna be fast. It's not gonna take him long to learn it. Like his interview, they did an hour long thing at the combine, interviewed him, and they went through part of the offense, his offense at Cincinnati, the Falcons offense, and he did a great job in it. And it's a reason why we took him. So there's a reason why we took the guys we took. We have a lot of really, really smart guys. A lot of these guys are captains on their team. If you know, we go to the Senior Bowl every year. This is a coaching staff that really keys in on the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
It's a lot of those guys at Senior Bowls are usually captains. They're seniors. They're like older guys. They've been on the team for 4 years. They played for a good amount of time. A lot of people say they got, I find it funny when people talk about running backs having wear and tear when they've been playing football their whole life. Everybody who's played football in the NFL has played football since a young age. So everybody has wear and tear. Yeah. So it doesn't matter really what other, I guess what how I put like whatever, however you see it, it's a wear and tear. It's a wear and tear league. And with this coaching staff, they go and get these older guys. They might not have a lot of wear and tear, but they got a lot of experience. One thing about Troy Anderson, that man played running back. He got recruited as a running back and a quarterback. So he's athletically just talented. You got to think about that. Now they put him at linebacker. In his first year playing a full year at linebacker, he was an All-American. So he was an all-conference player. So I mean, you have to key in on certain stuff for this coaching staff. So it's gonna be fun. I think that's really what it's gonna be. It's gonna be fun. And that's what. Do you think Allison can crack the top 3 running backs on the roster for game day? We kind of talked about this earlier. We touched on it. If you want to go back, Wallace, and listen to the full explanation, I'll let Miles give his little piece on it, and then if he can go, we can, guide him to the earlier in the video.
Yeah, I mean, as we were saying earlier, I think he can be. We were saying I think he can be that great change of pace running back. I won't make the Ito Smith thing again, I promise. But yeah, no, I mean, last year as we were touching on, I wanted to see more of him. It seemed like every time he would come into the game, he would provide a little bit of a spark. 7-yard rush here, 6-yard rush there, get a first down, maybe score a touchdown here or there. But yeah, I think he can, especially with Algier, Patterson, and Allison. I think those three are a pretty solid combination. I think you need 3 running backs as well.
Yeah, we can. I don't think we going with. I think we go with more wide receivers than running backs.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Mm-hmm. I think we go in with at least 7 linemen, at least 7, because you got to think. I think Ifedi's going to be on the main roster. Gossett, I don't know. That's one of the guys I don't know.
I think he might get cut.
I think he's going to get cut, but I can see it maybe because. But what he did, I mean. We go and get you. When got Schaefer, Schaefer's going to make the roster. So you already have your starting 5. Yeah. You got to think you're going to have Dolman, you're going to have Ifedi, and you're going to have Schaefer. Mm-hmm. So that's 8 right there. Now, somebody's going to get cut if we're going to think about having 8 O-linemen, or somebody's going to be on the practice squad.
Yeah,
somebody's going to get moved around, and it might be Schaefer, it might be Gossett. It might be. I don't think Ifedi's going to be on the. I think he's going to be a main roster guy. I think if McGarry, I put it like this on Monday. I said if McGarry, I think McGarry has a couple of strikes. If
you kind of remember they just passed the the rule that the practice squad that you can have veterans on the practice squad now. So I think those are going to kind of help as far as like the long overhaul of the season, because a lot of guys get injured, a lot of young guys get injured, injuries happen, and then you can have a veteran come in, and it's going to help guys towards the end of the season. So like, it's going to be differences. So at the end of the day, I just think we just have to be patient. Like this is not the same 2016 championship teams, and let's not pretend as if it is. Let's be patient, people.
This is uncharted territory for a lot of Falcons fans. Especially, for me, we've been good since I remember football. Like, we've always been somewhere going to the playoffs, at least in the playoffs, or at least one of the top 6, 7. Like, I've been through Matt's whole career. So, I've had nothing but good football. I've had some bad years, but I've had really good football. So, it's uncharted. This, like somebody said earlier, this is uncharted territory. We have never worried about a quarterback.
Yep.
Let's be honest. If you're like my age, I'm 20. If you've never worried about a quarterback, from the time you were 6 and on, we've had Mr. Matt Ryan in the backfield. Like,
well, it's not even that. You add into the one outlier season of 2007. Mike Vick's been our quarterback since 2000, 2001. So it's been almost 20 years since they've had to worry about a quarterback.
Yeah, and Ritter, I feel like he understands, but I feel like a lot of Falcons fans, we don't. If you understand as a fan, Ritter has a lot of pressure on him.
Huge, yeah.
Like, dog, you were a 3rd round pick, but people are going to treat you like a 1st round pick.
Yep.
Because you're the quarterback. Like, you brought excitement, which was kind of crazy, which a lot of people, of course, wanted Malik. A lot of people wanted to go and get all these other quarterbacks. But you were the one that we chose. Mm-hmm. We didn't go and get Malik. We didn't go and get the local kid. We went and got the kid from Cincinnati. So you have to prove to, like, you have a lot to prove. And for a lot of people, because a lot of people still think Malik is better than him. So he has a lot of pressure just based off of that, and based off of 20 plus years, we've had a steady quarterback. So you got to show us that we can rely on you to be the steady quarterback for the next couple of years.
That's why I'm more so looking at Mariota. I'm hoping he does very well, because I don't want to be that team that thrusts because the fan pressure thrusts the rookie quarterback in, and then they turn into Derek Carr or David Carr, I think his brother. I don't want them to turn into, well, because we broke your spirit and we broke your career. I want him to have a team around him that's going to be solid enough for him to come in and actually play as well as he can be. I'm not, obviously we're content creators. We're not one of the fans that's going to be like, well, because he got drafted, he needs to start. I see the comments on Twitter all the time. Start Ritter. Show clips of Ritter. Like stuff like that. Like even the clip today with Mariota throwing a really nice ball to Kyle Pitts. People had to find something negative about. I'm just like, that's a good throw. But there's people like, oh well, dang, Richie Grant. Like, come on, man, Kyle Pitts out here, a whole unicorn dragon out here. Y'all thinking he finna stop him one-on-one? People. So we just got to look at the team and not be fans of one player. I think we need to just support the team as a whole.
That was a beautiful ball. It was
a good-looking ball.
That was a beautiful ball. And it was like if you're Richie Grant, you couldn't play better coverage. Like you really couldn't have. It was right in the pocket. So, like it's something where you got to think about that. We were talking. It's so funny. When we had the conversations when we signed Mariota about what was his arm going to look like, what was this going to look like, what was this going to look like what we've seen in clips and stuff. He's kind of, he's kind of showing off. So for you, Miles, go ahead. This will be my last question. Getting into we're getting into OTAs, getting into training camp. What's kind of your schedule? Like, are you going to be there a lot, or are you going to be, I know you're moving around because of your job and all that, but like, what is your kind of like game plan for this off season?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I won't be there for the rest of OTAs. I will really get going with more of the Falcon stuff, official Falcon stuff in July, as we start prepping for training camp and stuff. But like I said, I'll be doing some, stuff on social media, that kind of thing. Nothing, at the facility or anything. But July is when things will really start picking up for me.
Okay. Do y'all have any other questions, Mike or Devontae?
I guess I just say I hope to see you back in the show, Harry, DJ, whoever. I want us to have a good party, maybe Friday Night Madness, whatever. Mad Mike show, Friday Night Madness. If we can get everybody together, I think that'll be extremely fun.
Absolutely.
I have one question. It's not it's kind of football related. Do you ever get tired of people mistaking you for Miles Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've just learned. It's gonna be a part of my life forever now, so I've just accepted it. as far as being annoyed, it's honestly something I just lead with now. Like when they ask, "Oh, like what's your name?" Like I'm saying Miles Garrett. Yeah, like the Cleveland Browns player. So before they can even say it.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of funny. I couldn't do it. I know that's kind of. Every tweet is so funny. Whenever Miles Garrett does anything crazy, they just tag him.
Every time.
Yeah, they tag you.
God forbid he has some penalty or like a 6-sack game or something, and it's like, oh, great, here we go.
Your mentions just have to be like, and it's not spelled the same. His is M-Y.
No, it's not spelled the same. We look very different. We have extremely different amount of followers. I mean, we've got the blue check, but other than that, there's nothing.
Like, yeah, it's kind
of
the
same age, so maybe that's it. But
thank you,
man. We appreciate
Miles.
it, man.
Absolutely, happy to be on. I always love getting on here.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Devontae. Thank you guys for coming on. The Unholy Alliance. It's strong, man. We kind of we're building, man. Y'all go ahead and subscribe to Mad Mike Sports. Go ahead and subscribe to GHSM on YouTube. Go ahead, of course, subscribe to Fila. Of course, we're getting into I'm going to start doing Fila only shows. So y'all make sure you follow and subscribe. I'm going to do a lot of dream stuff over there. I'm already doing a lot. Me and Devontae have a show coming soon. So make sure you follow us over there. I'm watching one of the games live, hopefully pretty soon. So you will be able to watch me live react to a dream game. I'm trying to find the right one, which one is going to fit my schedule. Because last night's game was disappointing. I just wanted to get that out. Last night's game was sad. I can't even lie about it. But make sure you guys go over to Fila. If you're on Mad Mike, go over to Fila. Shoot a subscription over there. Turn your notifications on, and just like the video, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna be on both channels. So if you comment on his channel, I'm gonna see it. If you comment on my channel, I'll see it. Follow Miles on Twitter at Miles Garrett? What's
TV.
the last? What is it? TV?
Okay. TV.
Okay, because I know some people have their channels named like the WS.
I should put it on there. Yeah.
Make sure you follow Miles at Miles Garrett TV. Make sure you follow Devontae at Cookie by Nature. Follow Mike at Mike Sports. All of us are active on Twitter. You get a lot more interactions with us on Twitter than you will on probably a lot more other apps, especially me. I know. For everything else, I guess I'll make the announcement on here too. FAMU podcast is coming, guys. I actually have started my channel. If you follow me on Twitter at FAMU_Central, we actually I'm it's getting big time, man. It's football season, y'all. It's May, but it's football. Like we're getting into summer camps. We're getting into recruiting stuff. So always look on our pages to find the news. You'll follow us, follow Fila's Twitter page at Fila_SP. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on really anything. If you look up Fila Sports Podcast. Hopefully we will put this on the podcast. We'll make it a podcast so you can listen to it while you're driving, while you're walking around. If you do want that, like the video, put it in the comments. Mike will make sure it will be posted.
I will make sure.
Thank you guys for coming out again. Oh, Prize Picks. Y'all. It's simple. It's the simplest betting app you can use. I promise you, if you use Prize Picks, it's 1, 2, 3, and you can make as much money. And look, I don't gamble a lot. If I do, it's gonna be on Atlanta sports stuff. So you got games going on. You got the playoffs. You still got other sports going on. Every sport is on there. If you want the prop bet, if you want to bet on points, if you want to bet on this, if you want to bet on that, it's gonna be there. It's easy to use. It's one of the easiest apps you can use. When you use our code FILA, FILA in all caps, if you spend up to $100, you get $100 back. So you don't have to spend your money on your first bet because they're gonna give you the money back. So I say it's a great deal. A lot of people, especially with the season coming up, you're gonna want to bet on these Falcons games because I promise you the over-unders are gonna be ridiculous. The money lines are gonna be ridiculous. You're going to want to bet on this team in a lot of games because you feel like you're confident. And this team is going to be good. It's going to shock a lot of folks. So make sure you go on Prize Picks. Use code FILA. It's 100% deposit match. And with that, let me get to my outro. We out of here. Oh, I'm still not. Peace.
We still